thank you so much for having us all here. I think the topic what we are going to finally, discuss primarily is revolutionizing insurance and automation for a safer and smarter tomorrow. So we would like to cover a few specific areas in terms of going very specific in the way insurance segmentation is done, some on the life side, some on the health in general, so that we are able to kind of all topics. So I think, Tarun, let me start with you. You being the first to my left. With AI being adopted across multiple customer touch points in insurance, how can organization balance automation with empathy, especially while handling claims, disputes, or possibly the customer demand, keeping the human nuance in mind?
AI is not anymore a buzzword. Okay, it has invaded our daily lives, and it is actually making a lot of change. The point is, how do you use AI in the right manner? And that's where the whole point of using it responsibly comes in. In terms of customer, it plays a massive role in terms of reducing the turnaround times, in responding to the queries. You can use AI for scanning through the documents for claims. You can use it to understand how can you finish off the repetitive tasks faster. That reduces your turnaround time, increases the productivity. And from a health insurance point of view, it is very, very important. This technology makes a lot of difference from a single point of view. I think in the whole of financial services, health insurance is the only business which plays with the life of a customer. Okay, and it becomes more important, and when you are either going to be admitted into a hospital, typically if you have an insurance, the hospital does not admit you till the time it gets a clearance from the insurance. Okay, and that's where all the things regarding the documents come into place, and that's where you can reduce the time using AI to get that clarity faster and giving it to the hospital so that the patient gets admitted as soon as possible. Second point where it plays important role is where the customer pain point is. If all of us remember, whenever we have gone to the hospital, the moment the doctor says, yes, you're ready to go, you just want to go. And typically the procedures take a lot of time because of a to and fro exchange of information that happens. And that's where technology actually comes into play. And these are the two touch points, at least in the health insurance, besides many others, where you are really helping a customer at the greatest point of time need. Okay, that's the greatest need, to get admitted faster and to get discharged faster. If you look at overall health as a sector itself, today AI is being used by the doctors in the medical profession to do a faster diagnosis, because the number of, if there is a customer who has a history of tests and history of reports and consultations, a human mind takes good amount of time to go through everything. Put it into AI. The decision comes out, and typically what we have seen and across in the studies that are coming out, in the experiments that are coming out, that the AI is giving you a 99.9% accurate diagnosis as well as a doctor in much lesser time. So there are a lot of use cases. There is no dearth of it.
So great. So I think if I have to just add it up to what you said, so going by your current experience, what is the kind of adoption or the claim ratios which you are able to settle it through AI in a very automated way, or possibly at least the initial phase?
There is a regulatory TAT in which we have to settle.
Okay.
Okay, cashless claims is to be settled in half an hour.
Okay.
So do you think it will be possible if you don't use technology?
Great. So, so coming to PRAKASH, coming from the investment background, so let me pick it up a little different for you. We always talk about literacy, financial literacy, and so on, so forth, and everything and all. So, so typically in a cooperative finance ecosystem where financial awareness and access is still maturing, how can automation and AI help build trust-based micro insurance, or maybe possibly to that extent even the insurance or the complete financial eco system space in that space?
Yeah. So basically, where you said that the people are lesser financial literacy, they don't understand the intricacies of the financial systems. I think that's where the AI comes to as a rescue. There are two things. One way is that we can have our own advisor to educate the customers and handle the things, but that left to the skills and individual subjectivity of that particular relationship manager who are handling. If we want the best of the breed and the, I would say fail-proof kind of standard solutions to be given, which is the based on the data, then the AI is the best one. So I mean to say the AI, the models are available who can exactly talk like a person, right? It's so much personified that the AI will know your all the backgrounds and all the data, and accordingly it will have the conversation and will offer a exactly curated a kind of plan for you, for the customer, right? That's where the AI comes to rescue, where the people are less aware. There the awareness program and the AI can be used to bring them up to the curve actually. And also, the principle of the major use case of the AI is that how to eliminate the adversary, right? I think insurance is basically matching up the two. The customer wants to get the insurance, but the insurance wants to give, company wants to give only one who doesn't claim it, right? And that's where the best matching happens. So the AI can be used to exactly find out the healthy habits of the customers and his exact health, because it has lot more health fitness data. It can track whatever he is doing. It can track whatever he is eating. It can track what time he is sleeping. There are a lot more health apps are there. And accordingly, it can accurately precise his, based on the health habits, what's going to be his chances of claiming or falling sick. And not only that, the AI can also help before falling sick. It can give the alerts, give a kind of notifications, and this all can be registered if the customer is still adamantly, ignoring those all health habits and those things. Then might be accordingly the premiums can be adjusted accordingly. So I think the AI comes as a very, very de facto standard tool to get this kind of matching done and eliminate the adversaries so that the right amount of premium is given to, right amount of the plan is given to the customer, and accordingly the right fitment happens actually.
Interesting. So I think hyper-personalization is something which you feel it's a key game changer which can make a lot of difference here.
Absolutely.
Great, interesting. So moving to Mr. Pankaj, you come from the group where the SBI is a household name for every banking. So if I may just ask from the data infrastructure perspective, what innovations are enabling seamless collaboration between banks and the insurers, and how AI can be leveraged to cross-sell personalization at a massive scale?
Yes, I will take it as one step further. Cross-sell is one aspect that can be utilized using the combination of analytics and AI, right? On bank side as well as insurer side, keeping the compliance and legal points in view. But the other thing that can be seamlessly, that can be enhanced further, that is the service part, the customer experience part. And that is more important. If customer experience is good, other things will follow, right? So improving the customer experience, improving the experience at the time of claim, how seamless it can be made. That is very important, and where AI comes into picture. Now, AI, we should not look at in isolation. That is not something that only generative AI and we are just asking question and it is giving answers. Secondly, AI is also not RPA, Okay, so we should think differently, not just for automation of tasks. And this is a word of caution, because when we talk, we just look at that we can automate this process, we can automate that process. So that is something that we are having a cannon and we are using like a pistol. So that should not happen. Okay. The potential is used. We are having many tools in place, like earlier also. Now OCRs are very intelligent. Document processing with AI, that has become very good. And now the capability to understand the document in an analytical manner. Secondly, finding meaning out of it, summarizing the information, both numerical, non-numerical, and the getting information out from him. And that is where it is going to help the process, the business process that it is helping. And that is bringing in some kind of, one is certainly the quality improvement, and secondly, the faster time. And third is consistency, because experience should be consistent, and that is where AI is going to help. So in a nutshell, if you have any.
So interesting. I think you already inspired me for a couple of questions coming out of what you said. AI is not RPA. So, and of course, touching on the servicing. So I'll quickly come back to you once I just finish a quick round with Aditya and Saurabh. So Aditya, coming to you, you know, as you know, you see that it's highly sensitive customer data insurance handles. Correct. So if you have to look at it in terms of bringing in certain, it requires specific assessment and possibly, doing the underwriting based on certain scenarios or predictive analysis and everything and all. So how can you still kind of consider the use of AI while keeping into mind certain, maybe possibly the data security or the compliances of it, which is a very thin line dividing sometimes?
Thanks, Prashant, for the question. Good evening to all. See, depending upon the use of the AI, the area where you are using, that is the only concern from a regulatory perspective we talk about. If it is for the client servicing, to a certain extent, the regulation is clear that, you can use the automation processes and you can actually leverage the business. As far as business side is concerned, it's difficult to, controlled by the compliance or any legal team, because they want to do the business. So they want to do the business. But at the same time, yes, when we are using the AI, we have to understand somewhere or the other the positive and false ratio. Means in whatever the interactions I had with different vendors of AI applications, nobody has said, sir, this is the foolproof and you don't have to use it any other service provider or, this thing. Recently we were having an off-stage discussion that AI business is now getting developed, that the fraud or something, if you are getting hacked and the data is getting breached, so the models are getting, business are being built on those sides. Because nowadays, data, when we talk about and using of data and AI can leverage only those data that are very structured. Do we have structured data in our system? Because this automation that we are talking about, it has just come 3 years or maximum 5 years before. What about the legacy businesses? If it's a startup business, you are doing something new, again you can't rely on those data. Because they will not going to give, whether it's an insurance sector, whether it's a banking, broking, or any other financial NBFC lending business, because it's very difficult. Even in insurance, the use of AI that we are using, like, you are monitoring the health of a client. The data is getting synced. And we are thinking, we are monitoring our health, but at the same time, it is being getting shared with your insurance service provider. Your policies are getting impacted because of that. If you are visiting to a hospital, maybe for a friend or family member or anyone else, it is not capturing that. It is showing that you have visited. Based on your geo-tagging locations and your mobile applications that you are having in your phone, the kind of AI that is being used by the service providers are on a very different level. So in any case, we don't know like where we are sharing those data. As far as client privacies are concerned, first we have to think what kind of business model we want to build, and at the same time, as a user, what data we are allowing them, and at what cost. So, what I can say or share my personal view, we have to be vigilant enough in our own self, not only as a company but as an individual, that as a user what you are using and where you are sharing your information.
Great, interesting. So I think I surely come back with you on some more compliance perspective on what you just said. So before that, I just have, Saurabh, I have a quick question for you based on what he said. So, you know, AI models often face a cold start primarily because of, intelligent system, what you require, or possibly the limitation of the historical data and everything, like you just mentioned. So how do you look at it in terms of, how do you overcome those challenges if in case you want to still bring in some innovation or bring in some more evolved model around that?
So, Prashant, we have to understand when we talk about AI is as good like the data infrastructure being put in place. So if an organization is not data rich enough, they would not be able to build a hyper-personalization, anything at scale. And for that to achieve, the best possible way is to have a connected infrastructure. Because in a connected infrastructure, what you would try to digest is that how a user behavior happen across different platforms altogether. And that platforms can be in a form of a bank or an insurance company or a telecom or maybe e-commerce and others. Now the biggest challenge comes on that how all of these infrastructure, data infrastructure or data players can talk to each other without compromising the user privacy. Because the biggest and the foremost threat on the compliances or the regulatory standpoint is that you cannot just go and park the data to someone else's infrastructure altogether. So it really asks for creating an infrastructure layer in place where it could be decentralized, where no data moving from one entity to another, but still able to democratize the intelligence piece of it. And that is where you will get a higher degree of an AI being enabled or used for that particular thing, for any number of use cases altogether. Whether you talk about cross-sell, whether you talk about upsell, or making something hyper-personalization for a consumer standpoint itself. So, and now it calls for a very strong governance to be put in place. Means that there could not be any possibility of kind of de-anonymization being applied to it. The cohorting sizes are always on a certain degree that it cannot lead to de-anonymization. So let's say, I'll give you a very practical example. Let's say I know you. I know that you have been driving, or I'll use your alternative data, like you drive a BMW, live in a so-and-so pin code, and do certain activities. If I would be able to do a de-anonymization, then it is a privacy threat. So having a strong governance to not allow any of the organization to reach to that part of the infringement of user privacy, but also at the same time, all of these data-rich organizations talking to each other, that is something which can solve the problem of making AI very personalized from a consumer standpoint. Because at the end, when we talk about why AI is being required in the current world, because we are now in a habit of having a convenience of everything. We want everything in a nick of a moment. And in order to achieve that, in order to give that part of the great consumer experience, every other large organization is looking for bringing in that change or adopting to that change altogether. So it's like it's a trade-off between how you want to provide a consumer experience, but also adhere to the privacy of the consumer as well, because you do not want to be sitting on the edge when it comes to privacy and other species itself.
Interesting. I think that's a good insight. So Tarun, quickly to you, like you mentioned that if you're working on some product innovation, let's take it from the health cover, or you want to bring in a more customized or hyper-personalized solution around health insurance or health cover. how how possible or how reliable do you think you will be, or how confident you will be to use those external connector and bring in those data? At the same time, what Aditya mentioned in terms of tracking some data beyond, which is breaching the privacy or beyond it. So how would you still want to bring in that data at the same time trying to strike a balance, not breaching the privacy, to bring in that required innovation in the product creation, which is more hyper-personalized and individualized?
Prashant, I would probably look at it from a very different angle. AI, we've been talking about AI. Okay, while Pankaj mentioned RPA is not AI, but I believe RPA was the starting for an AI. Okay, I believe even Excel macros were a starting for an AI, because today AI is what? Large language models, small language models, and all these things, which are nothing but logics, which we have been writing. And that's where the quality of data, first is the quality of data, what is the data that you want to use. There is a public available data, which might not be very useful for you to do a hyper-personalization. It will give you a indication. But if you want to go into hyper-personalization, you need to get into the data which you want to. And that's where the whole prompt, what is the prompt that you're creating? And that's where AI is not something, is something that can be deployed right in matter of minutes and days. But the accuracy will only improve over a period of time. The more data you feed, the right prompts that you start creating, that's where you will start realizing that it's starting to make sense. Now, you want to use it for hyper-personalization, or you want to use it to create a product? You want to create a product, specific product for a Prashant, specific product for a Tarun? Yes, it is very much possible. And this was without AI being called as an AI. This was being done in US and other countries in the general insurance and the motor insurance size anyway. You track where you're staying, what kind of work you're doing, which route do you drive, how many accidents you had, where you determine the kind of premium that you're paying. Now add in an element of a technology, bring in an AI, that same decisions can be taken much more faster, and you can start adding in more data attributes into it. The more data attributes you add, your prompting has to start becoming more better, more accurate. That's where the difference starts coming in. Now then it is up to you. You want to use it for personalization, you want to use it for creating a product, you want to use it for enriching the customer experience, you want to use it for agentic AI for removing, reducing or improving call center performance, reducing the number of agents that you want to deploy. The use cases are immense. It's how you use it. I think that's where it is. And this, will it start giving results from day one? Yes, it can start giving results from day one. But the more accuracy that you bring in, and that's where the whole, that's the reason why AI and ML are always associated together. The more you start using that, the more data you feed in, the quality of data improves, the prompting improves, the better results you start getting it.
Interesting. So I think I quickly jump to Pankaj. I think we have multiple prompts coming on RPA, and which is maybe possibly the start of automation, or what we say even the AI. So quickly, if you're servicing a large retail base and you want to really bring in a faster delivery and experience, or maybe reduce the friction, how do you think you can use the RPA or intelligent automation with AI to bring in that operational efficiency?
See, as I said, we can't look at AI in isolation. And it can't work in isolation if we want to use it meaningfully and for real world scenario. So RPA is what? RPA is workforce. AI is mind. So we are giving mind and thinking and logic to RPA, and that is how that we are going to use it. So now the scenario is you can do anything. Okay, you have all the tools. You can read, you can talk. Okay, you means AI. AI can read, AI can talk, AI can understand, it can interpret, it can summarize. So virtually it can do everything. And now we are in the mode that thinking anything that we are doing in the organization, can it be done by AI? Okay. Just going beyond organization, you just think of a scenario. You can give Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita to AI, and it will give you advice all a lawyer can do, right? Almost. So similarly, within organization, we can train on anything, and we can get output of it, and we are having hands and legs in form of other tools. Now coming to as retail service provider, what we can do and what we are doing. So the potential is right from product design, pricing, to selling the policy, generating lead, servicing the customer, communicating with customer, and claim. So all these things, there are different areas that different insurance companies and the industry is working on. And our organization is also working in many areas, and we have picked up certain areas where that is going to give immense value to customer. And those are what that are the priority areas, and we are looking at.
Interesting. So I think let's take a shift from operational decisions to more on the governance piece. So moving to Aditya. So Aditya, underwriting is now shifting more from reactive to proactive or predictive analysis, what we say. So when you're bringing those intelligence, how do you kind of look at governing or ensuring that your AI-driven processes are well aligned and you are still able to establish those required boundaries or the guardrails to ensure those compliances?
See, now we are a regulated organizations. Within that, the regulatory frameworks are very clear that with whom you are using the AIs and how you are integrating that part. So first we take care of that thing, and mostly we try to read the consumer behaviors related part and how we can automate and try to provide good services, the equipment that actually client want to. So what we do in our organization, that we always try to ask few questions from the client itself only, that what exactly you are looking for, and basis on that we design the automation. The second step that we take is, if you will see, within the organization, a customer interact with lot of departments, right from the customer service desk to the sales dealing team to the operation teams and all. When you will read those consumer behaviors, customers' behaviors, you can easily analyze that how exactly he behaves. And basis on that, you can curate the product for them, and the services can be getting offered.
Thanks. Interesting. So, moving to a completely different topic, it's primarily, we are now also talking about certain additional element coming in the way climate change are happening in terms of, the climatic risk and everything in certain geographical areas which play a prominent role in bringing those underwriting coverage, or possibly the cyber risk or other such emerging risk scenarios coming into play. So, Saurabh, how do you see bringing those possible data touch points or possibly those reference points to be able to funnel your data set to be able to derive and bring in those intelligence?
Sorry, can you repeat the question, because it's
not so okay. So let me repeat. So with the changing environment where now when you are giving certain risk coverage in terms of your insurance in certain geographical pockets or certain specific set of line of business, you bring in a lot of other areas like possibly the climatic risk or the cyber risk or other such associated risk elements or the new emerging risk. If you have to bring in that, how do you look at funneling your system or your models with those data points to be able to facilitate those decision making or arriving on those things from your underwriting point of view?
Okay, so I'll pick up an analogy to kind of answer this question, because that will be much easier for someone to understand. So how in a RBI landscape, how a FATCA or a SEC based AML checks does happen is that a consortium of more than 110, 100 or 20 odd organization came together, and they start putting all their data intelligence around a group of consumers, which is politically exposed people or other set of absconded people and more, into a one list itself. And then it become a standard and the norm across the industry that based on to this certain governance and certain different attribute itself, you are able to identify the person if it's a AML validated person or not. Okay, now since they happen to be the one which are into the security forces and other thing, for them putting a central repository cross borders was something made more feasible. Now when we talk about understanding the consumer behavior by large and having a risk aversity or understanding of the risk part of associated with every individual altogether, it means you have to not only understand that consumer behavior on your own platform, but his behavior across any of the digital or offline touch point altogether. It means again, it brings back to the point that all of the systems has to behave as a connected systems. They should augment that part of the intelligence working together. And that augmented intelligence is something being used on understanding the consumer at the time of onboarding, at the time of, maybe assessing them on a specific product or a business line altogether. So how that would happen, that calls for a strong governance, a strong regulation where all of this data can talk to each other, but also not getting exposed to the other party altogether. Because these are metadata, alternative data, very personalized to any specific organization altogether. A bank will not go and expose their data to an insurance company or the vice versa, or same with a telecom altogether. So in those cases, how they can talk to each other is the same way where we can impose our data protocols. So data protocols are going to validate the source of truth about the consumer behavior and just pass that proof to the other organization altogether. It's knowing that you have those kind of a user behavior about the user whom I'm talking about, but without exposing the real value of the data which I hold about that user altogether. So it's a connected infrastructure which we are again talking about, and this will mitigate not only the hyper-personalization use case, but also the risk aversity or assessing a user onto a certain risk guidelines altogether. So if I want to mitigate my part of the risk for onboarding any consumer, I want to understand him not on after 3 months, but rather on the day 0, so that I would be able to put him to a certain segment, certain funnel according to that risk altogether. So which normally in the cases of current banking environment takes almost like 2 to 3 months based on to their transactional behavior and other set of behavior itself. In the morning today, we were talking, UIDI person was talking about how alternative intelligence can be generated on the Aadhaar-based transactional data. And that can be used as one of the risk mitigation strategy for any platform. Now, if a person has been Aadhaar verified without knowing the person, and they just take a user consent of pinging that particular transactional past data, and if that person has been verified with 20 odd organization already, that mitigate your part of the risk as a platform altogether. So this is something which is being there, and also other set of behavior which can be gauged onto the AI metrics, like the way you input your, let's say, password, if it is getting done through a bot or through a human typing speed itself, which is number of keystrokes in per second basis altogether. So those are few of the other use cases which are being currently being even used at the banking infrastructure, I'm sure with the insurance infrastructure as well.
Great, thanks. So I think we're short of time, so I jump to the last question for 𝐿_Prakash, coming to the risk mitigation and the connected infrastructure. So if you were to consume and bring in some new product innovation where you want to use a connected infrastructure and bring in some product, how do you think you will handle certain blind spots or the possible hallucination which may be coming in while bringing in those required innovations or the product outcomes what you're looking at?
The last few words of the questions I could.
Yeah, so if you are going to use a connected infrastructure to maybe possibly innovate or create a new product, while you are in the process of the design, how do you bring in the risk mitigation of possibly the hallucination or the blind spot which may be coming until you evolve that?
So basically, when we have a connected infrastructure and we are federating the data and to create some new product, right? So there has to be a AI, we can say AI governance, right? AI governance with respect to, there has to be a guardrails, right? We need to set a guardrails, which is again the AI models in the risk mitigant area, which is going to supervise that the outcome falls within the range of the acceptable kind of things. So the guardrails are going to basically ensure that what is the final outcome is coming, it is within the acceptable and there is no a kind of deviations, you know, the deviations need to be within the control. So this is what the AI governance and you know, we need to set it up actually. There are multiple models are available with respect to the risk, you know, so basis on the deviations, they create the risk scoring and based on risk scoring, there is the, you know, final fine tuning or action also taken place into that. So overall, we need to work on a governance which is going to identify any kind of inefficiencies or a kind of deviations in the degree of decisions and basis on that takes the corrective action.
Great, thanks. I think we have a time's up, so I would just like to summarize quickly starting with Tarun. So Tarun, one message from your side on AI and automation for safer and smarter tomorrow.
Upskill yourself.
Interesting. So Prakash.
Build the right data platform to get the proper AI decisions.
Interesting.
A major transformation, just like what internet and smartphones did, that is what we are going through now.
Interesting.
Be vigilant enough in use your use.
Saurabh.
I think use AI for solving the right problem. Many of the people does not know the right problem.
Interesting. So use AI for the right problem or know the right problem to use AI?
Taking a cue from Saurabh. Use AI not for use cases. Use AI to solve business cases.
True. Thank you. Thank you so much. So if you have time for any questions. Do we have time for any questions?
We can take one or two, yeah. Anybody? Any questions? Wow.
Great. So I think we either convinced them or we completely